was already at it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We don't need to go there to look at it. Hopefully she'll.
Finish that sentence.
Hopefully she'll be here. She said she would. Just ask a question.
And then, let's
I
see.
just saw her earlier.
Okay.
I'm just like, what?
What?
I'll try to share your hope.
Maybe I want to read the rest, but I haven't yet.
I'm watching it. It's 7 o'clock on the dot.
That's interesting.
Oh, and like you asked me, and they, no,
I think the message,
I'm
did
doing.
you see the email
Anyways,
from Mike?
Oh, gosh, in communication. I don't think
The message got.
Oh,
So-
no, I didn't.
Councilmember Brown is en route, just so you know. I will now call to order the regular city council meeting of May 9th, 2022. Members of the public are invited to attend in-person council meetings in council chambers. Public access to the meeting is also available by telephone by using the call-in numbers posted on the meeting agenda. Meetings are broadcast on Channel 8 for Comcast and Xfinity subscribers and on the city's YouTube channel online. Joanna, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Leidy,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford,
here,
Councilmember Whitkovich,
Here.
Councilmember Jaramillo,
Here.
Councilmember Lukman Hiramasa,
Here.
Councilmember Goff,
Here.
Councilmember Brown, Councilmember Walker.
Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we are starting with a resolution. We're a little out of order, but just one. We're very happy. So we have CR 92. Joanna, will you read the title, please?
A resolution appointing a Ward 3 member to the City Council of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, with the name Richard Kondo inserted.
motion to approve, second,
Is there any discussion tonight on this item?
just to welcome you to city council.
Excellent. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Councilmember Goff, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's not logging in.
I know.
Still logging in, Joanna? Oh. I'm using the same password I've always used this time.
Okay,
I'll do a verbal.
we can do a verbal vote. Okay. So how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll just enter it here. Okay, so I will close that vote, and CR 92 passes unanimously.
Excellent. I would like to invite Municipal Judge Amanda Bale-Hash to administer the oath of office to newly appointed Councilmember Kondo.
Here, I'll give you.
Nice to meet you. Just repeat after me. I, Richard Atsuhiko Kondo,
I, Richard Atsuhiko Kondo,
do swear
do swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the laws of the State of Colorado,
the laws of the State of Colorado,
the Northland City Charter,
the Northland City Charter,
and the ordinances of the City of Northland,
the ordinance of the City of Northland,
and I will faithfully perform the duties
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
of the office of City Council Member
of the office of City Council Member
of the City of Northland,
of the City of Northland,
upon which I am about to enter,
upon which I am about to enter,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, you're sworn in.
Get up.
Awesome. And then council member, if you want to take a picture with your guests.
Day after Mother's Day.
I should know that, so I'm not in the hospital. Take a picture.
Judge, you gotta come.
All of us?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Do you want me to take a picture with your phone?
Jerry, she take a picture.
Sure, I'll take a picture with her.
I will come.
Oh, yeah. All right, me first.
Group of
There we
first.
go.
1, 2, 3. Awesome. Okay, me second. Smile. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Sign it, and then take your seat behind.
Yeah.
Thank you, Judge.
Now it's time to get to work.
Yes, it is. I'm going to throw you right into the fire today.
Left peek.
I'm coming, I'm coming.
She's coming.
Welcome.
All right, first order of business is logging in.
Yes. Good tip.
And I will say welcome as well.
Oh, there she is.
So Councilmember Goff is virtual tonight.
No performance stress here on logging in.
Take your time. We don't have a vote. Yeah, there's no vote. Okay, moving into response to citizen inquiry. Heather, are there any for tonight?
One reminder for our residents, citywide street sweeping is well underway. So you'll see signs at the entrances of your neighborhoods as Public Works makes their way throughout the city. Information on the city website has been pushed out via social media, via the Connection newsletter. So please make sure you know when street sweeping is happening in your neighborhood and park your cars in your driveway out of the area where we're going to try to sweep. Thanks.
Okay, excellent. Do we have any agenda additions or deletions? No? Okay. We have a youth commission interview. So Alex, you want to come on up? Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing good. You?
Excellent. So you're interested in being on our youth commission. This moment is your youth commission interview by council. So I will call on council members that have questions for you. Are you ready?
Yeah. No.
Okay. Council member Lukeman Hirama.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to say welcome to you, Alex. It's been an incredible pleasure serving with you on the Youth Commission since April. I think you're going to do a fantastic job. You have such a great personality. You're so intelligent. You have a great sense of humor. So I just wanted to say you're already doing a great job and welcome.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford.
Hi, Alex. Thank you so much for applying. I, in reading through your application, got a real kick out of your answer to how does city government affect your life? And I think your answer had something to do with jaywalking and refusing to give it up. So I applaud you for holding your ground on that one. I really enjoyed that. I also really appreciated your answer to what impact do you think you can have on the city, and talking about how oftentimes young people aren't heard because, you mentioned, not knowing what's going on or their experience being downplayed. And I just really want to say thank you for stepping up and to lending your voice to the conversation. Is there any one thing that you're hoping to work on in the Youth Commission?
We had someone speak at one of our meetings that discussed a lot of topics around homelessness, and I'm now really interested in that.
Awesome. Well, we're definitely excited to see us making a difference. Thank you.
Councilmember Brown?
Hi, welcome. We really appreciate you. Now, you currently on the board? Or, because I was just wondering, because it says, why do you want to be a member of the board of directors of the Northland Youth? So I was just wondering if you were running for an elected piece or
Well,
a regular seat.
This recent election, I was nominated for treasurer.
Okay, great. I saw that you'd like to engage in the community a little bit more. And as Shannon said, you've already been participating with the Youth Commission. Can you tell me what you like about the Youth Commission and why you want to expand it into the treasurer role?
The treasurer role, I was nominated because like numbers are my thing. So,
Mine too.
And sorry, I just blanked and forgot the first half of the question. You know.
Basically, what have you enjoyed about the Youth Commission?
Oh,
And-
I like how it's youth-centered. Like, we have adults working with us, but it's not really their opinions guiding the conversation at all. Everybody in Youth Commission has a role, and they're able to hold that to a professional level.
That's excellent. And you were just elected as treasurer?
Yeah.
What do you see your role of treasurer as being?
Simple?
Simple? I was thinking the same thing, so don't worry about it. Well, thank you very much for your honest answers. I love the jaywalking thing too. Let's work on that, okay?
So, Alex, I want to welcome you too, but I have to say, I very much appreciated the answers to your application. They are very much in line with your T-shirt as well, because you seem to just say what you're thinking. And I really appreciate that. That is very authentic of you. And I very much appreciate that you know the difference between there, and there. That is super important.
Yes.
But just really, all of your answers were super honest, which means you didn't put on a facade. You didn't put on a show. You're bringing who you are. And I just love everything about that. So I know you're going to do great things on our youth commission, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I actually got this shirt from the bottom of my drawer.
Fantastic. I really like it.
Well done.
Keep being you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, we have 3 proclamations tonight. And I believe, Rupa, do we have a guest for one? I don't see anyone.
She said she would sign off, I guess.
Okay. Well, I will begin with. Ah, hi, Cheryl.
Hello.
Hi. And Cheryl, maybe you could tell me, which proclamation are you accepting tonight?
The AAPI?
Great. On behalf of the Dice Board?
Yes.
Oh, I so appreciate it. Okay. So she's here as a member of the Dice Board. Thank you for watching us clear that up publicly. We're very glad to have you. So the first proclamation is Asian American and Pacific Islander, AAPI, Heritage Month is observed during the month of May to recognize the contributions, vibrant cultures, and rich heritage of Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders. And whereas the observation began in 1978 and was confirmed in 1992 when Congress passed Public Law 102-450, which annually designated May as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. The month of May was chosen to commemorate the arrival of the first Japanese immigrants to the United States on May 7, 1843. It also honors the anniversary of the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad on May 10, 1869, which was constructed by the difficult and dangerous work of 20,000 Chinese immigrant workers and pioneers. And whereas this year's theme, Renew and Rebuild Our Communities and Beyond, encourages us to reflect on the systemic barriers faced by the AAPI community and the work still to be done. And whereas the City of Northglenn values diversity and rejects all forms of bias, harassment, and hate that endanger the Asian American and Pacific Islander community. And whereas the City of Northglenn acknowledges the determination, hard work, and perseverance of AAPI people and is proud to honor their significant contributions to all facets of the United States, such as the economy, education, government, the arts, law enforcement, military, literature, science, sports, and technology. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, do hereby proclaim May 2022 as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the City of Northglenn and call upon all residents to celebrate the essential contributions, sacrifices, and accomplishments of Asian American and Pacific Islanders in our community. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 9th day of May, 2022. So Cheryl, I'm going to sign this and we're going to get this to you, but would you like to say a few words tonight?
Yeah, just on behalf of DICE, we appreciate you guys putting this proclamation out. And we wanted to let everybody know also that along with the food truck, we've put a little celebration together for on Sunday with the food truck carnival from noon to 5 at the small stage at the community center drive. We have some performances by a Dragon and Lion dance troupe, Krav Maga, I think I said that right, Hawaiian hulu, Toko drums, and the Northglenn origami club is going to show us how to do some origami too. We're also going to have a little board table there, and we'll have some dice merchandise to be giving away. And if people do a survey, they can also get a $5 food truck coupon to I believe it's a Korean food truck that's going to be there as well. So we just wanted to have a small little celebration to celebrate the AAPI community.
Excellent. That sounds so fun. I really appreciate you zooming in with us tonight to accept that.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to the second one, Jewish American Heritage Month. Whereas Jewish Americans have been an important part of the American story and have greatly contributed to all areas of American life and culture since our nation's earliest days. And whereas on April 20th, 2006, after resolutions passed unanimously in both houses of Congress, President George W. Bush proclaimed that May would be Jewish American Heritage Month to recognize the more than 350-year history of Jewish contributions to America and American culture. And whereas generations of Jewish people have come to the United States in search of a better life for themselves and their families, and they have made invaluable contributions in support of equality and civil rights through their leadership and achievements. And whereas in recent years, Jewish Americans have increasingly experienced anti-Semitism, including, but not limited to, physical attacks, vandalism, verbal and physical harassment, and hateful comments posted on social media. And whereas the City of Northglenn shares an obligation to condemn and combat anti-Semitism wherever it exists, to include Jewish Americans in all facets of civic life, and to stand with the Jewish American community against hatred or bigotry in our city and country. And whereas in celebration of Jewish American Heritage Month, we acknowledge the faith, fortitude, and progress of the Jewish American community and honor the diverse ancestry, heritage, and culture of Jewish Americans. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, do hereby proclaim May 2022 as Jewish American Heritage Month in the City of Northglenn and call upon all residents to celebrate and learn more about the history and contributions made by members of the Jewish community. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, that's 9th day of May 2022. And while I don't believe we have an official recipient of tonight's proclamation, I would probably see if Councilmember Goff would like to accept it on behalf of the DICE board as well.
Well, sure, on the spot here. I do appreciate the proclamation. We want to make sure that we honor all the communities and groups of people that have maybe in the past been marginalized in one way or the other. So this is an important step that we take, and on behalf of the Diversity Board, I do accept it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, and our third proclamation tonight is Historic Preservation Month. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, realizing economic growth, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. And whereas preserving our historic resources is vital to ensuring the success of our commercial and residential environment and maintaining the character and heritage of the city of Northglenn. And whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas the Northglenn Historic Preservation Commission actively works to survey and identify properties, structures, and areas that are culturally, architecturally, or historically significant to the city. And whereas identifying and adaptively preserving these resources allows us to maintain their character and cultural importance. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a community. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, do hereby proclaim May 2022 as Historic Preservation Month in the City of Northglenn and call upon all residents to appreciate the historic buildings, unique architecture, and efforts of volunteers who work to preserve the city's history for all to enjoy. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 9th day of May, 2022. And Councilmember Witkovich is accepting tonight's proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I made a few notes. I'm, of course, honored to accept this proclamation on behalf of the Historic Preservation Commission as their ex officio member. Look forward to bringing it to them tomorrow. I'm sure they'll be pleased. They did ask for this, so I know they'll be really happy. The Historic Preservation Commission is doing a lot of exciting work right now. They've got a very aggressive strategic plan. And, you know, since the city has turned 50, they have a lot of work that they are doing right now. I do want to make a plug for our monthly meeting. It is tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. Residents are always welcome to attend, but we have specifically invited the Desert Estates members because we are going to be talking about local designation of that neighborhood. And I also would like to make a plug that they are in need of one alternate member. There's pretty strict criteria to be on this commission because you need to sort of have education and background in certain areas. But I encourage anyone who is interested to please check out northland.org. And we are always looking for volunteers. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Here, I'm going to pass it down so I don't forget. Great. Okay, moving into public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment on any item not set for public hearing. Statements are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Statements must be related to city business and limited to matters of community interest. Joanna, is anyone signed up to speak to council?
Nobody has signed up in advance.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who didn't have a chance to sign up but would like to speak to council tonight? No. Okay. Oh, yes.
I have a question. Are there historical buildings in Northland? Maybe I love to visit historical sites and learn history. Are there actual buildings, like museums or old homes or?
Well, you know, since we just recently turned 50, I know that we're doing lots of work on that, but I believe St. Stephen's is on the, I don't know if it's National Register, but I know that is one that has been designated as historic. I believe there's another, but, you know, Stonehawker. Yes, Stonehawker over in Fox Run as well. Thank you. That might be it.
I think you might want to talk a little bit about Deanne's estate, though, so that, you know, she knows where it is and what that is and how we're working.
Okay, well, we've got the neighborhood Desert Estates over there in Ward 4. It's a lot of really cool mid-modern homes. And so we've recently undertaken a survey of that neighborhood. And so now kind of our next step is determining if we're going to go for local designation, get it on the National Register, just kind of, discussing all those different options. So we're working on another one right now.
Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak to council? You may press *6 to unmute yourself at this time. Okay, moving into communications, Councilmember Witovich.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing for me this evening.
Okay. Councilmember Walker, I do not see.
Oh, he's on the phone.
I know. Councilmember Walker, did you want to say hello?
Good evening, Madam Mayor. I have no updates as of tonight.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to mute you then. Okay. Councilmember Brown.
I have no updates this week.
Okay. Councilmember Jaramillo.
I do. I have an update from the Northland Arts and Humanities Foundation. We had our last meeting at the community room in the rec center. That's our last meeting altogether until fall time, because we're going to have our summer concert series, and if you'd like to check it out, we're going to have them every Wednesday in June, and then the first week of July at 6:30 there'll be food trucks. I encourage you all to bring your family. On June 1st we'll have the Wendy Woo Band. June 8th have the Gorilla Fanfare Brass Band. June 15th, the Hot Lunch Band, who I've seen before. They're awesome. So I'm going to test there. June 22nd, the Christine Alice and the Chords. June 29th, Espresso with an exclamation point at the end. So that sounds like to be a pretty exciting one. And then also Soul School, who I've also heard before. Awesome. June 6th. So if you're in town after 4th of July, check it out. They're also going to have a screening of Ghostbusters Afterlife after that. So a lot of fun stuff happening, and this is going to be happening at our lawn, I think of the festival lawn. Yes, so that's our first summer concert series there on site. So hope you can make it. That's it for this week.
Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor. On April 29th, I attended an EV event that was sponsored by the Independent Electrical Contractors Rocky Mountain branch, or whatever they call that, and learned a lot about the things that are needed and required for more electric vehicles. And this was really geared toward the contractors themselves, but it did seem like they all agreed that electric vehicles are the wave of the future, and they really were discussing some of the obstacles and things that need to be overcome to make them more accessible. Very interesting. So I do appreciate that we have the International Electrical Union contractors in our own city, and they're always looking for young people who might be interested in taking up that trade. So anyone out there who's listening might be interested or know of anyone, please pass the word along. And then I just wanted to reiterate about the food truck carnival. It is this May 13th through the 15th, and the diversity board, the DICE board, is sponsoring one of the stages that you heard about. And we also have worked with the Anythink library to bring their bookmobile to this on Sunday. And I think they're going to kind of focus on AAPI experience kind of books, but of course that won't be all they have. And it's the bookmobile. So if you know any kids who are interested or families that want to partake of that, it will be there as well. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Konda.
Well, I can tell you, first of all, I'd like to thank Ms. Geyer and Ms. Smith. I met with them this morning, and clearly I'm drinking out of the fire hose, as we would say. But obviously learning the ropes very quickly, and definitely am doing my level best to come up to speed. Thank you.
Councilmember Lukman-Hiramasa.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I actually got to attend a couple of fun events, but first I will start with the No Need for Speed program part 2 that I attended on April 27th. It was very well attended by the residents. We had about 20 folks, 20 residents in attendance. And I just want to give a shout out to Sergeant Shub and Kyle. They both did an amazing job of answering all the questions that the residents had. And I believe they all felt pretty comfortable with some of the options that were presented. So I'm confident that moving forward, that we will come up with solutions for the speeding problem on Cuivas. After that, I attended on April 29th, the Adams County Education Consortium, ACEC for short, 2 tables of which we approved through the outside funding agency. And that is the Classroom to Career Symposium. So I was able to sit at one of the host tables, and the students were all from Northland High School. And the great thing is they were all Latina, so it was really great for me to be able to speak to them in Spanish and build that rapport. And I do believe that it's a mentorship program, so I'm pretty confident that at least one of the girls that is sitting at that table is looking forward to doing more with the city. I'm trying to get her to join the Youth Commission, so fingers crossed on that. But it was just a fantastic opportunity to show how much we care from the city to our students here in Northland. On May 3rd, last but not least, actually it's not the last thing, I attended the Youth Commission meeting, and as you met Alex tonight, all of those kids are so amazing, and they're really trying hard to do a lot of community service type events. They're working closely with the DICE board. They've had one joint meeting that I attended with the DICE board, and we'll be attending another meeting with the DICE board. They are looking forward to helping out with this year's Pride Parade, which is hosted by Adams County this year and not by Northland. So they have plans to have kind of a teen area, and I'm really proud to say they're taking charge of that for the Adams County Fairgrounds, whatever that's called. The other thing that they're working on closely with DICE is this upcoming food truck carnival. They will be there and just trying to reach out to teens, because sometimes it's uncomfortable for teens, maybe to talk about some of the issues regarding diversity and inclusivity. So they've taken the charge in that, and I'm super proud of them for that as well. There's lots of things they're working on. And then the last thing is May 17th, I would like to remind all of our Ward 4 residents, we will have our Ward 4 meeting at Cinzetti's. And the postcards that you received in the mail are actually your meal tickets. So it's a dinner, you show up. Yes, I know, right? Bougie, Ward 4. Don't get jealous. Uh-oh, everybody's talking now. I'm in trouble. So you show up with your postcard, and you and a guest in Ward 4 are entitled to pick out anything from the menu, and we'll have our Ward 4 meeting. It will be capped at 60. And our last meeting, we had almost 60 participants. So please make sure you show up early. First come, first served. That is all I have, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's so tough to follow. Dinner at Cinzetti's. But truly, I hope that our Ward 4 residents come out and enjoy dinner with us. And just so folks know that Ward 4 did win the Excel's Partner in Energy Challenge for the most energy efficiency. I believe the most energy saved in a period of time, I think primarily during COVID. So really fun to be able to celebrate in person that big win with some dinner and a conversation. A couple of other updates from me. First is I also attended the EV event at the IECRM and was pleased to speak on behalf of the city about some of the work that we're doing in planning for this transition to electric vehicles and what that means and will look like. Additionally, I wanted to highlight that Wednesday is sine die for the 2022 legislative session. So this is the last day of session, and we will be having our city lobbyists coming before council, either at a study session or at a council meeting in the future to debrief everybody on some of the legislation that was passed and things that we should be aware of for future sessions as well. And then finally, I just wanted to say welcome, Councilmember Kondo. Know that we have all been in the place that you are in drinking from a fire hose and trying to find your feet in this role. So please feel free to reach out to anybody at any time. I know that we're all here to help and to be advocates and to make sure that you succeed. So welcome. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Excellent.
Okay, so I started taking notes and realized, wow, there was a lot going on in the last couple of weeks. First of all, I just wanted to say a belated Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in our city. It was just a couple days ago, and I hope you had a wonderful time. It was beautiful weather. I was able to be a part of the fishing derby, and so while I don't have the names and sizes of fish written down, it's on our website. It was very fun to celebrate with all of our young kids that caught really big fish. And it surprised me because I've never caught a fish in my life. And so I was very jealous because it's not without trying. So it was very fun. They got fishing poles and tackle boxes and gift cards, and they were so excited. But it was more fun to see everyone come together for a community event once again. So we had the bike derby, and it was just a great day. So thanks again to staff who puts on these fantastic events for us. Food Truck Carnival has been mentioned. I hope to see you there. It's going to be great. I did participate in a panel for the Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce, which was focused on what were the strategies that municipal cities took or counties took for a response to COVID. And it was really interesting. I was actually kind of surprised how many businesses did not know everything that was done behind the scenes to support businesses across our state. So it was just an honor to be a part of that panel and to share the amazing things that we did in our city. I also got to join CBCA, the Colorado Business Committee for the Arts. They were hosted here by our arts, culture, and community manager, Michael Stricker. They were hosted at our new rec center. They got a tour of the new theater. They had a whole day of professional learning. But my favorite part, I snuck in at just the right time. I got to meet them, and then I took a dance class with them. It was so incredibly fun. So that was a good time, just letting it all, taking a risk, which is what it was, but it was very fun. Also, we had the Metro Mayor's Caucus Executive Committee meeting. We are planning our annual retreat, and nobody up here would be surprised that I was chosen to lead the team building activities. So working on that, making sure that we have some good stuff planned. Attended the Food for Hope Gala. It's a partner that we value in our city, so it was an honor to be there and an honor to give them some money. It was somewhat good. And then finally, just another additional welcome. We're just so happy to have you. So we are gonna get started. Heather Geyer, do you have any updates tonight?
You mixed it up, Mayor.
I did, I know.
I do have one update. We had a hugely successful youth theater production recently, Matilda. So I don't know how many of you were able to go see it. I did go see it yesterday. Wonderful show. So I wanted to share some fun stats with council and the community tonight. We had 79 youth in our community, regional community audition. 39 of those young people were selected to be in the cast. 12 youth assisted behind the scenes as part of the backstage crew. We sold 2,267 tickets over the course of 8 performances, and our theater can hold up to roughly about 335 plus seats. Each performance had about 283 members. So really, really great numbers in our new theater, and I'm always so inspired and just thankful when I'm sitting in the theater and I hear people around me saying, this is such a beautiful place, and they really enjoy their time there. So just wanted to share that with you tonight. That's all I have. Thanks.
Great. City Clerk Small, I did not forget you.
I didn't think you did. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I want to congratulate Councilmember Kondo on his appointment to council tonight and say that it is very nice to have a fully seated council once again. That's all I have.
City Attorney Hoffman?
Nothing this evening.
Okay. All right, moving into the financial report. Jason Loveland, our Director of Finance, is here to present the February 2022 report to council.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, City Council. This first quarter has kind of flown by in the finance world, and I think everywhere else as well. I'll start off with update on sales and use tax. If you can see on this graph, on the far left-hand side, you'll see a small blue bar that represents January and February collections, since we're always a month behind with our collections. Overall, sales and use tax is up just under 14% on the year. Within that, sales tax specifically is up about 16%. Our food tax is down about 6%. And largely that's just coming down from the highs that we've experienced in the last year. So not necessarily a negative trend to report, but just kind of more balancing out to historic numbers. Again, I touched on this in previous reports. The local economy, so our geographic areas within the city are performing well. Those are up over 10%. And then our online presence and sales tax that we're receiving from online retailers, that continues to grow and to really thrive. So through the first couple of months, positive trend in sales and use tax. I'll go through each of the funds. The general fund, total revenues, you'll see a total of $4.9 million. That's up 2% over the prior year. We'll see in the column on the far right that refers to collection or spending rate. So we're 25% of the way through the year. Our revenue cycle, we do not collect on a even performance throughout the year, so this isn't weighted for any trending. So we're at 15%, which is normal for the first few months of the year at 15%. On our spending, total expenditures of $6.6 million for a net change in fund balance of a negative $1.7 million if the year were to end today, which it's not. I'll update on the beginning fund balance. I'll get ahead of this question. Beginning fund balance at the end of 2021, as we've finished our audit, which will be coming forward at the June 13th meeting for an update. End of the year, $28.6 million, which is an 89% fund balance. We have made commitments to our fund balance. If you remember, at the beginning of April, so commitments to the Civic Center project, as well as to our road maintenance projects. So we actually have commitments of $12 million of that fund balance, which then would return that fund balance number to about 52%. So gone from 89 to 52%. Based off of what we have planned for the year, and if projections hold true.
Oh.
The next fund, Conservation Trust Fund, revenues from the lottery proceeds of $133,000 through the year. No expenditures. There's more detail, not in this PowerPoint presentation, but in the document that shares, what those projects are in Conservation Trust. One of them is the concrete trails that is on the consent agenda. In the Capital Projects Fund, total revenues of $1.5 million and expenditures of just under $1 million. Again, I won't go through the details that are in the packet, but again, things moving as projected on our revenue cycle from our intergovernmental revenues from Adams County open space and the transportation tax, as well as the specific taxes for marijuana and other capital funding. In the water fund, total revenues of $22 $2.8 million, and expenditures of $2.4 million. One thing to note here, water consumption is up 2.4% through the first 3 months of the year. In the wastewater funds, total revenues of just under $1.2 million and expenditures of $2 million. If you'll see in the report some variances year over year that aren't on the slides. But again, we've been talking about this for several months. The development at Carl's Farm has an impact on our general fund building material use tax, has an impact on our tap fees and our water and sewer funds as well. So we're seeing one-time revenues expand those revenue sources in a one-time sense across those funds. And then the stormwater fund, total revenues of just under $120,000, and expenditures of $24,000. We'll see more expenditures once the kind of the project season kicks off with some different stormwater projects. Right now, those are operating expenditures. And then lastly, the sanitation fund, $356,000 of revenue and expenditures of $525,000. Spending a little bit higher at this time compared to previous years because of the vehicles that we took on early in the year that were delayed from the prior 2021 orders that were delayed in getting completed and delivered to us. So we're seeing a little bit higher expenditures, but nothing that was not part of either 2021 or 2022's budget. And then just real quick summary. So overall sales tax, just specifically sales tax, up over 15%, which is a great number. General fund revenue up just over 2%. And then touching on participation fees, those are a fair amount higher, about 110% compared to the prior year. Specifically theater, as we just heard, has had a major impact. And then passport processing activity that was kind of delayed the last couple of years has picked back up. And so we're seeing increases from those two areas. And with that, I can answer any questions about the presentation or the more detailed packet if you have any.
Councilmember Brown?
So I just have two comments. I'm not going to grill you over anything tonight, okay? My first comment is that for the residents that may be watching or watching this at a later time, they can go to the Northglenn city webpage, go under public meeting records, and they can pull up the packet and read that detail that you aren't providing that we've already read, but they may be more interested in the numbers that you provided, where, you never know. The other comment that I wanted to make was that I'm very pleased to see that the marketplace is really has an uptake in the sales tax. It almost appears like a good portion of the 15% is related to the marketplace, and as we continue to fill those businesses, I can only see it getting better. So I think that's great. No criticisms, no anything.
Councilmember Kondo?
Yes, just a question as I review this. So I noticed that on each one of the funds, the left column is your budget. I wonder if in a future, or maybe we can have a separate discussion, if it's possible to kind of break that out, that budget to year to date, so that there's a way to kind of track, how the actuals are comparing to a running sort of budget expenditure or revenue in certain cases.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Jason, do you know when some of the groovy reports that we looked at in your new system, we'll start to incorporate those in?
I don't have an answer to that, hopefully soon. But
okay.
Yeah, I think that in the Finance Committee, we had talked about an opportunity to have a little bit more dynamic presentation for the monthly meetings. So we'll work through that. I think that's a transition between providing a static document that is available for the packet and then being able to have something a little bit more dynamic, to have conversation and show a visual
I
aspect
geeked out
to
on
it.
it.
So,
We
okay.
geeked out.
Yeah,
Kind of got
those
that
are-
drift?
They are very cool.
They are very, very cool. Do you anticipate us being able to see that kind of information before we start talking about budget for 2023? Maybe.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving into the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Councilmember Goff, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hang on, I have too much on, open on my screen. There you go.
I will close that vote, and the consent agenda passes unanimously.
Okay, moving into ordinances on first reading, CB 1984. Joanna, will you read the title, please?
A bill for a special ordinance rezoning from mixed neighborhood to multifamily limited, certain real property with an address of 1501 Rosanna Drive, City of Northland, County of Adams, State of Colorado, and amending the zoning map of the City of Northglenn.
Move for approval.
Second.
Sorry.
That's okay, that's okay. All
I already
right.
had my questions going.
Our Director of Planning and Development is here to provide a summary. Hi, Brooke.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a first reading, so there's no tongue-tied, no formal presentation tonight on this. It'll be at the public hearing where we'll have a PowerPoint for the packet. So for tonight, we're requesting to approve the motion to move forward for the public hearing. This is a rezoning from mixed-use neighborhood to limited, multifamily limited. It's a quarter-acre site, just slightly over that. If you're interested in seeing where this is exactly, it's on page 8 and 9 of your packet for this agenda item. The intent by the property owner, he has represented that he is intending to develop it for townhomes. However, the consideration of a rezone is not for the specific end use, but yet for the uses that would otherwise be allowed for this. So we're not necessarily giving approval of a townhome project. We are merely creating the opportunity to allow for townhome to happen if the applicant does choose to move forward in making that application. Planning Commission approved this recommendation to City Council at the 6-0. And then one of the conversations that the Planning Commission had that's also reflected in your staff report is that because of the size of this particular parcel, it would fall under a minor site plan, which is typically an administrative review. However, the Planning Commission requested that this be referred to them, and so upon application, we'll review that and consider it, and most likely take it to them for consideration. So that's all I have for tonight, and happy to answer any questions.
So Brooke, I know I could Google Earth it pretty fast, but I'm looking at the image on page 8, and
Yep.
there's no street names. So could you give me kind of a general sense?
Sure.
Like, what is this large building? Is that a school?
So right now, what this is, this parcel, if you look on your page here, this is Rosanna.
Okay.
And this is tucked behind. It's an old abandoned car wash, which in the neighborhood has historically been a dumping site that we've had numerous code enforcement issues. The group that purchased this property is looking to do basically what some may be known as slot townhomes, where they basically are stacked side to side. You'll see that in the site plan that's provided in the packet as well. But that's the concept that they're looking to pursue with this particular rezone request.
Councilmember Lukman-Hiramas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's actually very close to where I live, so I know exactly that area. And to me, it is very blighted. And considering where it is, I think this is a great opportunity to kind of clean that area up. As a sociologist and so as a psychologist, I think of broken windows theory, and that area is exactly the type of property that falls into that. So I support it because I think that anything we can do to increase, the betterment of that neighborhood, it definitely fits more of a residential area. It's been empty for so long. So I'm kind of really happy to hear about this and the potential to actually get something useful for the community into that area, except for, instead of an abandoned, blighted building. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolford.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Brooke, I've got a couple of questions that are reminder questions for me, so I apologize if they're in the packet and I looked over them. But can you remind us what other uses could be or would be allowed in this area for what it's currently being considered for rezoning?
Sure. So in your packet on page 10 through 13 is the use table that enumerates the uses between what would be RM1, which is the limited, our multifamily limited, and then MN, which is mixed use neighborhood. So I actually took the opportunity just to highlight it, just to show you. But basically, this would effectively be a down zone from what it is now. And I think primarily the motivation for the applicant is because the density allowances under limited multifamily allow for a higher density than what they would under mixed use neighborhood. So we'll spell that out in more detail in the formal presentation.
Okay. And I assume that were there tell me about the public notification process
So-
for this going to the planning?
So as part of our public noticing process, we advertise in the local publication, which is the Sentinel. We also do an advertisement of, I believe, 500 feet from the property owner. So those residents or those property owners within that area will be notified of that. All the public hearing requirements for that were satisfied in accordance with our UDO regulations.
Okay, but we don't send any sort of letter or anything like that out? Okay.
Yeah. To the adjacent property owners, we send out a letter of the public hearing.
Okay, and that will be when this is considered for second reading, or was it?
That was for the planning commission, yes. So.
Okay, okay. The reason that I'm asking is when we're thinking about the amount of density that's being contemplated here and the amount of construction noise and the impact to the residents that surround this area, that's the thing that I'm thinking about the most, and getting their feedback is really important. So, okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do not see any more questions, so
Right.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brooke.
Joanna, will you open the vote, please?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Goff, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll close that vote, and CB 1984 on first reading passes unanimously.
Okay. CB 1985. Joanna, will you read the title, please?
A bill for an ordinance amending Section 9-4-4 of the Northglenn Municipal Code concerning harassment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, Jason Johnson, our municipal court supervisor, is here to provide a summary. Good evening.
You're becoming an every Monday night visitor.
I should say thank you for having me back. Good evening, Mayor Lighty, City Council. I am here today to talk about the harassment amendment that brings me here tonight. So just a little bit of history. In 2015, the harassment statute was amended to respond to some cyberbullying that was going on with across the state with teenagers and some young adults. And so that went for about 7 years up until this year, where it was challenged at the Colorado Supreme Court. And at the Colorado Supreme Court, they ruled that the language was a little vague and overbroad in terms of free speech versus harassment around the intended to harass language. And so that was challenged, and the court agreed to change that wording. And so instead of throwing out the complete statute, they went and modified some of the language, actually just removed that piece of language around that. So our city code actually has language around that, so we're looking to follow suit with the state and make that amendment. And just so you know, a little bit of this doesn't affect a whole lot of cases with municipal court. Last year, we only had 12 cases that were cited as harassment in municipal court. So.
Great.
So
Any
basically,
questions
we're
for
just-
Jason, Councilmember Brown?
Sorry about that. So basically, we're just pulling in line with the state.
Yes, that is correct.
We'll be using the same verbiage that the state's using and all of that good
Yes,
stuff.
absolutely.
Ours actually differs slightly. it achieves the same result. The state goes through every possible medium you could have for harassment. This version says in any medium, because we can't predict what the future might hold in terms of various mediums of harassment. So we amended our ordinance to be consistent with the state law, but it is not identical.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Goff, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and CB 1985 on first reading passes unanimously.
Okay, moving into resolutions. We have 6. Here we go. CR 79. Joanna, will you read the title, please?
A resolution approving amendment number 1 to the agreement between the City of Northglenn and Anderson Mason Dale Architects for architectural and engineering services for the implementation of Phase 2 of the Civic Center Master Plan Project.
Move for approval?
Second.
You're back.
Mayor and council, welcome. I'm back for part 2 of 3 tonight. So before you tonight is a consideration of amendment to a contract to AMD Architects Anderson Mason Dale for an amount to increase in $393,000, $393,066. And original contract amount was for $1.37 million. That includes a $113,000 contingency. The new contract amount being requested, total contract amount being requested for tonight is $1.878 million. The new scope being added to this contract is for the net zero construction and certifications by the architect, the increased square footage, and time increase due to the scope of contract. I want to also mention that in addition to this, we will be coming back with another contract for the commissioning. That is for the certification of the sustainability measure that we're looking at. We currently estimate that between $45,000 and $60,000. We're in the process of doing that procurement and securing that and bringing it back to council. Just a few other things I'll mention quickly is the project timeline schematic design is scheduled to wrap up here at the end of the month, early June, and we'll be coming back to you on June 6th with an update on that effort, and then we'll be moving on to the next phase. So with that, I'll open up to any questions.
You're getting off easy.
I'm here, go.
Okay, just checking. Councilmember Condo, are you trying to raise your?
No.
No, okay, just checking. I wasn't sure. You looked very thoughtful, so I think that's it. We're good. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Goff, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and CR 79 passes unanimously.
Okay, CR 80. Joanna, will you read the title, please?
A resolution approving a First Amendment to the intergovernmental agreement between the Adams County Sheriff's Office and the City of Northglenn for the provision of law enforcement and administrative personnel.
Motion to approve.
Second. Police Chief Jim May is here. Come on down.
Mayor, Council, good evening. This amendment to the resolution for the terminal guard. So what this is Adams County for the last several years has been guarding it from 10 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning. What we're asking, because of staffing shortages, we're currently down 4 in our records unit. We're trying to condense those, take them off weekends, put them during the week so they're there during business hours, so they can also, their functions, getting all the information to the different courts, municipal court, county court, preparing all that work, and then plus also guarding the terminal guard. So our terminal guard, what that is, it's the Colorado Crime Information Center and the National Crime Information Center terminal. This is where we house our warrants. And by state law, we have to make sure that we maintain that and that there's someone that actually watches that all the time. Because nationally, if one of our warrants gets a hit, anywhere in the country, we have to respond back in about 10 minutes. So what we do every night, we push that information to the county. They guard it for us until we take over the next morning. So over the next 12 weeks, we're asking that the county will guard our terminal during the weekends. So that's an additional 16 hours on Saturday and an additional 16 hours on Sunday. Total cost is just under $8,000 for that time period. And I think with salary savings, I'm able to take that out of my current budget. So if you guys have any questions. Because if not, the alternative is me working terminal guard, and oh boy.
Councilmember Kondo.
Yes, Chief May, so is this arrangement, is it extensible if you have to go longer, say if you're not able to find people?
Yeah, that's one thing, we'll come back if it's going to go longer and then amend it again. We're hoping that we can fill those positions. They've been very difficult positions to fill in the past, especially the hours that those individuals work. So one of the things that we're looking at too, we have someone, the city hired someone to look at compensation and everything else, making sure that those positions are competitive. So hopefully some of that information as we move forward will help us fill those positions.
Councilmember Brown.
My question is just regards to the 16 hours. So during the week, we would hand it over to them when our people left for the day. Why only 16 hours for the weekend?
So
not
we already
24?
pay, I'm sorry. So to be clear, so they guard it from 10 a.m. to 6 a.m. 7 days a week. So we're just adding the additional 16 hours on each day to, it's still there'll be 24 hours that they're doing, but we're already paying for the other per the contract.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Lukman-Hiramasa.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question is, what is the ideal level of staffing? I know you have 4 positions open. What is the ideal level of staffing to be able to maintain that without this extra help?
So currently we have, Heidi? 12, how many do we have?
We currently have 5 people working and 4 vacancies. And so we've been able to cover all the duties at this point with about 7, and we hired 2 part-time people right now just to cover some of those clerical duties to help backfill. So if I can get at least 1 or 2 more people in, I think we can go back to our normal hours. So, I mean, I want the full 9, obviously, because I think in order to function at our full capacity, that's what we need. So, but again, this is just a stopgap, hopefully, to get us to that point of getting a couple people in and trained.
So the other thing, the digital technology as well, to help our digital tech, they also help push that information to the county as well. So that's more time intensive too. So that's why we're trying to pull them together. So we have people that work the window, but also those, doing all the clearing of the paper in the background, so.
Thank you.
I just had a blank of how many people do we have up there?
Thank you, Chief. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Councilmember Goff, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and CR 80 passes unanimously.
Okay, moving to CR 84. Joanna, will you read the title, please?
A resolution declining City of Northglenn, Colorado participation in the Paid Family and Medical Leave Insurance Act, the Family Act.
Move for approval.
Second.
Tamara Dixon, our Director of Human Resources, is here to provide a summary. Hi, Tamara.
Hi, how are you, Council? How are you, Mayor? I'm here again, too. I've seen you guys a lot lately. I'm happy to talk about why we're asking for authorization for the city to opt out of the state's paid family leave program. So as background, Colorado's Family Act requires employers to remit premiums to the Division of Family and Medical Leave Insurance, or FAMLY for short, to fund the state's family program. Or we can provide our own paid leave program to qualify for an exemption. As you recall, Council agreed to have the city implement our own paid family and caregiver leave last March. Fabulous program that we came and updated you on. And so our more inclusive benefit does qualify us to be exempted. As required, we've notified our staff of our intention to opt out, and we've also been supported to do so from the Northglenn Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 23. So we are ready to opt the city of Northglenn out and would love to answer any questions you have about that.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilford?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't actually have a question for you, Tamara. I feel like you've done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Stewarding the program and making it work. To be honest, I'm really excited that we're opting out. And if you would have asked me when this legislation was being considered if I would be excited about opting out, I probably would have said no. But the reality is we have been able to go above and beyond for our employees through the creation of this program. And I'm so proud of it because it means that our employees are able to take care of themselves and their families when they need it the most. And I pulled up your presentation, Tamara, from I think back in February. And I just want to quickly share one of the quotes here for context and the rest of the council and folks that may be watching tonight. One of the employees noted that as a recipient, I'm so grateful for this time off because time is so precious. And with my father's emergency heart surgery, I was reminded that life can change in an instant. Time can never be bought back once it's lost, and I am so grateful for the time I was able to help my father and help him along with his recovery journey. And that is exactly why we have this program and exactly why I'm excited to opt out.
Thank you so
So
much
let's
for
do
that.
this thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
And that's all the questions we had.
Thank you.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Goff, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and CR 84 passes unanimously.
All right, moving into CR 86. Joanna, will you read the title, please?
A resolution approving Addendum Number 4 to the Professional Services Agreement between the City of Northglenn and Cumming Management Group Incorporated for program and project management services for the implementation of Phase 2 of the Civic Center Master Plan.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Brooke is back, 3 for 3.
Here we are. Good evening again. This is an amendment to the contract for Cumming. For our new council member, I'll just point out that Cumming has been our owner's rep for Phase 1 of the Civic Campus with the Rec Center and is our owner's rep for Phase 2. The proposed requested increase is $165,000 to the $330,000 contract. Primarily, this is a focus on the net zero and the additional time that has been added to the calendar as a result of our process. Cumming has been instrumental in not only working with the contractors, but also helping us in assisting with our P3 public-private partnership with Continuum. So with that, I'm happy to open up and answer any questions.
Councilmember Kondo.
So question as I'm on a learning curve.
Yeah,
what does net zero mean exactly?
So net zero is where we're essentially creating a city hall that has a zero carbon footprint. So
Got it. Sustainability.
Yep.
Awesome.
I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice night.
No,
Please
you
open the
can't
vote.
leave.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Goff, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and CR 86 passes unanimously.
Okay, it looks like we get our Director of Public Works for a couple.
He's excited.
CR 88. Joanna, will you read the title, please?
A resolution approving an agreement between the City of Northglenn and Glacier Construction Company Incorporated for the water treatment plant solids handling improvements project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, welcome Kent Kisselman. How are you?
Good. Good evening. Thank you for having me. So new members, you won't know, but a couple different times we've been in front for this. One was for the approval of the Hazen Williams design contract last year. And the other time was for a kind of a show and tell. I think we had a video, and I'll touch on that in a second. So this project is over at the wastewater or at the water plant, and as you drive by on 112th, there's 2 ponds there, and our residual liquids go into those ponds. So we're now trying to, this project is going to capture those liquids, and in its simplest form, from the demo that we had video from about a year and a half ago. It's going to compress those residual liquids into a block and save all the water, and then we'll be able to reuse that water and reclaim that water. And so that's about 111 acre feet a year. And just for your knowledge, I guess, if you're not aware, that's 1 acre foot is about a little over 320,000 gallons. So we got 100 plus times that is what we're going to be able to save. We did bid this project. The bids came in about from 8 different contractors, ranging from 5.9 to 8.6. Glacier Construction was selected as the lowest responsive bidder, and a total project cost of, including contingency, of $6,573,279.90. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Kondo?
So again, kind of curious, so you're removing the total dissolved solids or what have you, the remaining water, is that going to be used for watering landscape, or how's that going to work?
Well, right now the water currently goes to the wastewater treatment plant, so we're not able to capture that. So it'll go back, the captured water will be reclaimed and put back into our plant and then treated and used in our in-service. We don't have, the only raw water that we are used to irrigate with in the city of Northglenn is at Northwest Open Space, and we take that directly from the terminal reservoir.
Okay, great, thank you.
Councilmember Lookman-Hiramasa?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I was lucky enough to take the tour last year. Is this, or these ponds, the ones where you put the chemicals and the bad stuff sticks to it? And these are total ignorant terms because I have no idea how all of that works.
No.
So I know that
No,
sounds
these are those are the flock ponds. So the clarifiers where the flock goes in there, and it's the little enzymes or things that you can see, and we that flock gets settled down, or the sediment goes in the bottom of the clarifier, and then we drain the clarifiers twice a year and clean that out. These are the ponds, and I don't even know if I took you on that side because they're on the far side of the plant, and they're just lined right now with black plastic, and they have Jersey barriers all around them, and they're just a muddy mess. This project will now not only include just the kind of the compression and saving the water, but it's going to rehab those ponds where we'll do some shotcrete around, build some steps down into them, and so the staff will be able to clean those out and be much more usable and better for the eye as we, folks drive by our plant.
That actually did jar my memory, and I remember exactly the area that you're talking about. And you mentioned something about building that out, so that's pretty exciting to save that much water. That's significant.
It is. We try to buy water rights, but they're few and far between. And so being able to reclaim this amount of water is really, really big for our system.
Thank you.
All right, please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Goff, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and CR 88 passes unanimously.
All right, CR 89. Joanna, will you read the title?
A resolution approving Addendum Number 2 to the Professional Services Agreement between the City of Northglenn and Hazen and Sawyer for construction phase engineering services for the water treatment plant solids handling improvements project.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right. Tell us about this one.
Yep, so this is just the construction management for Hazen Williams. So for the same project, this is just going to be them, doing the oversight, answering the RFIs, and those things as Glacier has those questions as we move through the project. And I know Councilmember Brown, last time on the 120th project, asked about, I think why that wasn't built into the project because there were so many moving parts. But with this project, it was more straightforward. So this was already built into their initial proposal, and so we were just waiting until we went to construction to bring this portion back. But we knew the approximate cost of this going in. So the addendum is for $412,051.50. And I'll answer any questions.
I don't see any questions. However, I was wondering if you wanted to take a minute and pump up your Public Works open house that's coming up.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. This year's going to be at the M&O because of all the projects that are happening at the water plant. So exciting. We have new vehicles, and we're going to try to play some games. We're going to try to. We got new radar signs so you can check your speed. Maybe we'll have bikes. With the bike program, the bikes will be there so people can come out, or folks can come out and get bikes. And we're going to have food trucks. I'm not sure what we settled on, but I know one of them is the shaved ice. Shaved ice, and then there'll be a hamburger slider type thing, and we'll be there from 2 to 7 next Tuesday. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're really proud of all the work that the Public Works folks do, and it's really nice to take a week and celebrate all that they do. So thank you for asking.
I agree. It's never a boring event. It's very interesting, but I also appreciate your staff and how much information they share, and it's really fun. So I encourage everyone to go.
Question, is there going to be any opportunities for our constituents to drop off, broken branches and things like that? Or that wouldn't be this event?
Not this event, but.
But is there anything coming up soon?
Probably.
We're into the spring, summer season, so tree branch recycling is open every single Saturday.
Okay, great.
And then, it's open on Saturday, and then, our gates are open for recycling at M&O all the time, and we've opened up our new recycling center at the Northwest Open Space, which is open Tuesday through Saturday, even with extended hours into the evening. So we don't accept tree branches there, but we are looking at expanding some of the things that we're doing up there in the short amount of time that we've had it.
Great.
And on the tree branch thing, Joe and I were having a debate this week. Do they have to show ID proving residency?
We do. We want proof of ID for that. Recycling, if you want to recycle, we'll welcome all comers. But, it was a few years ago, we were really getting, commercial users and a lot of residents. It was like every tree, there wouldn't have been a tree left in Northglenn as much green waste as we accepted in those couple of years. So we now have a system where we check IDs and make sure that the Northglenn resident. Now, again, if there's a Northglenn resident with a resident from another jurisdiction and they show proof, I mean, we're not that hard, but we do check the IDs to make sure that
For our new residents that move into the community, we have exceptions for them, right? They can bring their water bill or something to prove residency.
Yeah, it's a pretty loose system.
Okay.
So.
Well, that was for my neighbor next door who just bought their house, so, okay.
Yeah. And even when folks come during the week, we used to have a hard line and turn them away, but it's like, well, the gates are open, go on in, and we're just, kind of ensuring that they're putting it in the proper place and doing that.
Councilmember Kondo?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for clarity here, you said next Tuesday, so not tomorrow, but the week after, the 17th?
The 17th is correct, yes, sir.
Awesome.
That was it. Thank you for letting us put you on the spot on top of it. Joanna, please open the vote.
The vote is open. Councilmember Goff, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll close that vote, and CR 89 passes unanimously.
Thank you.
All right, the next item, the 2023 city budget process. City Manager Geyer is presenting to council. Hello.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, members of council. Tonight's discussion item is on the 2023 city budget process, which internally will be kicking off next week with Jason Loveland, our finance director, who's with me here tonight to help answer any questions about the discussion we'll have with you about how you would like to see the budget process move forward and your role, council's role in the budget process. But we'll be kicking off the budget process officially next week. For our newer council members, we finish one budget, we start in the new fiscal year, we audit the previous fiscal year, and then we start working on the next budget. Very cyclical process. that gets underway. So for council's consideration tonight, based on prior council feedback, we're offering some suggested changes to the process. So within your packet, you have a proposed budget calendar. There's really two options within that calendar that I'll talk council through. We also have a mock-up slide that Jason pulled together of what information we'd include on for the department director presentations. So with that, we did hear from council that you'd like to hear directors present on their departments. And so that's something that can very easily be built into the process this year. It was part of the process prior to my arrival. I believe we had those in 2018. And then we went a bit higher level with the presentations in 2019, 2020, and then certainly last year for this year. And so that's very doable to add those back. And so what department directors will do is they'll present a slide or two. Some directors will need probably more than a slide or two. And then we'll certainly need more PowerPoint slides for the CIP and other overall big picture numbers that we're presenting. But your departments such as Public Works, Police Department, Parks and Recreation are going to need a few slides to really highlight all the different pieces. So what we'll highlight on those presentations include any FTE requests. We'll include existing FTE. There may be some departments that aren't proposing new FTEs, so that's something to think about. We'll also include the package requests like we have in the past. You'll receive that package request detail. However, we'll summarize it in the most simplest form as we can to fit on the PowerPoint slide. And then you'll have an overall spending category. And the great thing about the OpenGov software that Councilmember Brown, you referred to as Groovy. It is Groovy software.
It is awesome.
And so we do hope to integrate that software in creation of these PowerPoint slides. And so hope to keep that as simplistic as possible, but to provide the space, as believe I've heard council request, to have a dialogue with department directors. Also, part of this process will be that we'll present a balanced budget. So part of what we hope to do is, based on the concern that I've heard, is make sure that we're presenting council with options early on in the process. So you're not going to get a huge, thick proposed budget book binder. And I know some of you are going to be happy about that, and some of you might be sad about that. But the thinking behind that is...
Why are you looking at me, Heather?
Because I was waiting for you to say something, Councilmember Brown.
I'm going to let you finish your sentence and finish your
The
thought.
thinking behind that is we'll give you the high level and the detail you need in order to make the prioritization decisions, to ask the questions you need to ask early on in the budget process, and then you will receive a proposed budget later on in the budget cycle. It just won't be upfront. We hand you a big notebook and say, read it, and then we dive into all the detail. We'll give you pieces. Again, it'll be a balanced budget, but you'll have options to respond and react to. And then based on council's direction, we will filter that into building what becomes the proposed budget. The thing to know about the budget calendar that's really important for council to be aware of, we need, per the city charter, to present you with a proposed budget by September 20th. So that's a hard and fast date. That's just after, I believe, September 19th is one of our meeting dates in September. So we'll need to bring that forward. And then the budget does have to be adopted by council by the end of the year. So there's flexibility in the calendar. So let me dive into that piece. Based on feedback that I've heard from council, there was interest expressed to doing a one-day, full-day budget retreat, which we can do on a Saturday. So if you look at the proposed budget calendar, you see 2 yellow Saturdays highlighted in July, the 23rd and 30th. So one of those 2 days could be an option that council provides feedback on if you want to use a Saturday full-day budget retreat, where we would go through all the different aspects, the department director presentations, all the high-level financial information that you need to know on the revenue expenditure side, the capital improvement budget, as well as all of our special fund budgets. So that's one option. If council does not wish to spend a Saturday in the middle of the summer, which I know is a significant ask, we've outlined two options for you, which are to use study sessions. We probably need 2 study sessions, or we could try to get it done within 1 study session evening. That's something I'd love to hear feedback on tonight, and we've outlined those dates in the month of August, which include August 1st and August 15th. So for council's consideration, there's 2 options. You can do a full-day budget retreat. You could do 1 or 2 study session evenings. Those are options at your disposal. I do want to reiterate that the ideas that came out of council's ideation session, staff will be preparing package requests for those. So all of those ideas that you made a commitment to discussing and prioritizing in the 2023 budget process will come back to you as part of that front-end set of material that you'll receive for direction. So with that, Jason, would you like to add anything? Did I miss anything? Good. Okay. We'll stop there and open it to council feedback.
I'm going to jump in first this time, only because I'm so excited about this slide. When I, have listened to council and over the years, what we need to help make decisions about the budget is consolidated in this way. That makes it a lot easier to consume. Even if a department has 2 slides or 3 slides, what I wanted to know is that piece, like what is the department's full budget? What are the new requests? I love this table with the packet, the whole thing. I love the whole thing. It's very concise. And I think it's great. And my preference personally would be a study session. I think if it's consolidated in this way, and as you mentioned, it will be presented as a balanced budget, meaning we can afford what you present to us. I could see us getting it done in 1. Maybe we have dinner and, start at 5:30 or something.
We can do that.
I think that might be, I think it is doable. And I appreciate you revisioning this, because I really like the slide. So I do see Councilmember Brown. Sorry to jump in, I just got excited.
I really wanted to hear your opinion first.
Okay.
That was really important to me. I'm going to start it off by expressing my displeasure in the way that we have done it in the past, which I've been very vocal about. I worry about putting it into 2 study I worry about putting it into 1 study session straight out the bat. I would like to, if anything, split it into 2, because numbers, people get tired, stop paying attention. Not that any of us would do that, but the budget is, it's a very important process. I would be willing to do it during a study session if we're not bumping more, real important items that we've integrated into the study sessions. But I would prefer 2, splitting it up. That way staff can split it, split their time, and they don't have to be here all night while we drag on to a study session. The other thing is exhaustion from numbers and things like that. I do have one question. Since the world of council is always evolving, will we have an opportunity to, if something has come up between when we did our selections, and we chose what we wanted, our ideas, will there be time for us to bring those ideas forward?
New ideas?
Yeah.
On top of new ideas?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, sorry, I didn't know how else to say it. New ideas on. So I wasn't being sarcastic, please. Just being literal. Certainly council can suggest new ideas. I think if we could honor the ability of staff to react and respond in terms of following through with a package request, really being able to provide council with the information consistent with the other requests. That might be something you as a council want to discuss though, but that would be my ask. I mean, when you see the 2023 budget and all the things on top of everything underway, there's a lot. So I think we just need to be mindful about honoring the process you already went through and making sure that if you want to carve out space for new ideas, we're thoughtful about it.
It's not really new ideas. You know everything that I want. You know what I want, but as far as
Are they things related to capital projects?
No.
Or
No, we're talking like, I want to make sure that we have the funds available in 2023 to carry through with the promises that we had for, well, that I had for, I wanted, let me rephrase that, for, looking at the intersections, kind of the same conversation that we had today with some of those elements, right? I just want to make sure that we have the budget for them moving forward and that we're not putting it off 2 years. And what I'm speaking about is I'll stick with your terminology, my terminology. The change in the stop signs in some of our high traffic areas and things like that. To me, the cost seems minimal, but I obviously don't know what the real cost is. So I want to make sure that because traffic is such a huge issue, not only in my ward, but in everybody's ward, that we have an extensive conversation about it at budget time, so we're not waiting until 2024 to have the money to make any changes.
I think that fits into the 5-year CIP conversation. Now, in 5-year CIP planning, I mean, the goal is you don't do everything in year one, and we won't be able to do everything in year one. So we need to spread it out to balance not only funding considerations, but also staff bandwidth. So I think probably what'll be most helpful is you communicate to me as we move into this season, budget season, that I know what you're thinking about. So we have the school assessment underway for Maui,
Right.
and so there'll be improvements that'll be plugged into the proposed budget for that area, and then staff's doing the research on the Irma and Maui through Waste Stop. So anything that we can't get figured out and budgeted for this year, we would certainly plug in likely to next year. I don't think it would go beyond 2023. But that's something that council would have to make a decision on, whether or not you want to fund it in 2023.
And see, that's where I made my mistake. I didn't bring that up in our previous conversations. We have the traffic calming and everything, but I think that we have to look at it more into our safety vision and sooner rather than later. I think 2024 might be too late, but if we can't fit it into this budget, I understand.
We'll identify what costs are needed and then bring that forward to council. And
Unless you want me to go out there with a flag and a...
no.
Which, you never know.
Kent has a cone costume, but yeah, that wouldn't be the appropriate safety measure for that intersection.
You know what? I think Kent should hand me that cone costume since I am a cone killer.
She's just out there.
Okay. Thank you very much,
That's
Heather.
a solution,
You're
and it's
welcome.
not very expensive.
The cone costume? I am down.
Traffic will likely slow down.
I know somebody else that would like to help me.
But then they might be on their phones recording, look at this, look at our council members.
You want me on Melody or on Irma?
Yeah, thank you, though.
Falls under other duties as assigned.
Yeah,
Council
exactly.
member.
The bottom of the resume. So that I just want to make sure that we have enough time to have a conversation about that, and I'll set up some time with you.
Okay.
Okay?
That sounds great.
I don't want to leave you hanging.
Oh, I
Your-
appreciate that.
The budget book, I just have one more question, and then I'll let you go. The budget book that you're talking about, I want to make sure that I understand it correctly. Are we going to get section by section? I know,
Call it a binder. You'll get a binder, but I'm not going to call it the budget book, as in the
Okay.
full book that's
so is it
posted
going to be
online.
this
So it's
kind of a
gonna-
binder or like usual kind of a binder?
Probably in between what you just showed me. We're really trying to digitize a lot, going back to the OpenGov. So I think we'll cut down on the amount of paper. The large chunk of paper that you all will receive, it's going to be those package requests, that form that we have that's printed off. And then we'll do as much as we can to really synthesize information using charts and graphs using our OpenGov software. So you're not going to see the narratives. So each of the department narratives, you're not going to see we'll do some type of budget memo, which then translates to a budget message that's included in the main proposed budget document. So we're really going to try to cut down on those extra pieces so you have the ability to really focus on what needs to be prioritized. So staffing requests, the project requests and the CIP and the special funds, and then the departmental package requests. So as you recall, we separate those by one-time requests and then ongoing requests. So there'll be a lot. You'll get a binder.
Well, I think.
And we'll
Thank
give
you.
it to
Can
you
it be
2 weeks
pink?
in advance, so you have plenty of time to
Okay.
flip through it and highlight and mark pages and ask
there'll
us
be a
questions.
summary
and-
page?
Yes.
Kind of like Jason does
Yeah,
with the
we'll do a
budget?
high-level summary. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We're gonna tell you that it's a balanced budget, and here's how it's balanced. And you'll also receive package requests that aren't included in the balance portion. You always receive those. So anything that we're not recommending as a leadership team to advance, you'll see those.
Okay. Sorry, I have a headache tonight.
It's okay.
Okay, we have quite a few hands up, almost everybody else. So I'm going to go in the order that I saw them pop up. Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to say thank you because this does look like it's going to be a lot easier for me to digest. So I wanted to say that. Right now in my calendar, I have all of those dates open, so I could do any of them. I'm going to assume that most people would prefer the study session. So my suggestion would be to do the earlier study session, which looks like August 1st, because I do suspect that it's going to take more than one. I really admire the mayor's optimism that it won't, but I just feel like everything you ever plan for, it takes more time than you think. So, so that would be my only, I guess, suggestion would be to probably plan for 2 or somehow have that as a contingency.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lukeman Hiramasa.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As someone who, much like Richard, was kind of thrown into the fire last year, new, not so new council member, the budget process was quite difficult for me to go through as a new council member. So seeing all of these improvements, I have to say that they're fantastic. I went straight to the slide and I love graphs. So I'm a very visual person and it's very easy to comprehend exactly what the ask is for each department. So I just want to say I really like this new format. I think it'll help a lot for everyone. And I had the same questions that Councilmember Brown had in terms of how that was going to be pieced out, but I think I understand that as well. So I also feel like those would be more palatable chunks for us to kind of learn about the budget and discuss items as they come up. I would support 2 study sessions. I think that just overall for staff, and considering everyone taking a timeout on a Saturday, if we need to, of course we would. But just thinking about that and time-wise, I think that 2 study sessions is something that I would be more likely to support, even if it has to be a little bit earlier. I'd totally be fine with that as well. And I totally support seeing Councilmember Brown in a cone costume. I think that would be great. And, maybe that can slow down some traffic. But I also support her comments in, focusing on public safety as well, because that's something that all of us have heard from our constituents, and it's pretty important. And I understand you have a handle on that. But that was the most important thing, is just to voice my support for the 2 study sessions. I think I saw August 6th in there. Was that also an option? You mentioned 2 dates in July.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that could have been a third date. I'm sorry. I misspoke and said 2 dates.
Okay. I
There were
still
3.
support the 2 study sessions. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Wickridge.
Oh, thanks, Mayor. Just wanted to give my input on the days. Similar to Councilmember Goff, I'm fine with doing it on a Saturday or 2 study sessions. It sounds like everybody wants to do the study sessions, which is fine. I think it would be difficult to do it all in one, just because of what Councilmember Brown mentioned about exhaustion. So I am up for whatever everybody else wants.
Mayor Pro Tem Wolford?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let's see. First, Heather, thank you for hearing our feedback on the previous budget
Absolutely.
processes. I think that you taking the time to come before us and make sure that we all agree to this process is just setting us up for success. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so question about study sessions or about the Saturday. I like the idea of breaking the conversation into two study sessions, and primarily because I think I've noticed that we tend to do our best thinking as a group when we receive the information and then have a moment to pause and think about it and almost just sit with the information and come back with questions and ideas and comments. And so that's the direction I think makes a lot of sense. There was another question in the memo around the timeline and whether or not we wanted to provide more time and space for the budget process and potentially not adopt the budget until December, since this is a non-election year. I would actually prefer that we continue to use the same timeline and the same process, and that way staff doesn't constantly have to rework your timeline or adapt in a non-election year. I think if we can just maintain that same timeline, it makes a lot of sense. And the one piece that I would really love to see included in the budget, in addition to the really streamlined, fantastic slide for each department, is an overlap of our strategic goals and the budget and where our spending and our priorities are so that we can see that in real time. Thank you.
Do you want that just like overall slide, not necessarily by department, or do like an overall and then by department? Do you have any specific vision on that? Or do we have we can pull it together?
I don't know that I necessarily want to see it by department, because I think some departments are going to have a bigger chunk of the work just based on, the services that they provide. But I think a full citywide snapshot would be really helpful. And I think also probably help us as council members tell the story of where we're spending our money to our residents.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Jaramillo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm also expressing my, I'm in favor of the two study sessions on the 1st and 15th of August. As Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, we do want to, be cognizant of our staff. Sometimes we have staff that are on hold for a while. I know we had, like, digitally when we were doing Zoom, that people were on for a while, and it was like, I don't want to, keep them on hold on their day off, and I'm just thinking from the staff point of view. So that's one big reason, but yeah, definitely exhaustion. I lean on now more of my colleagues that are the budget people, so I agree. Sometimes here's so many numbers, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is, it can be exhausting to, just, I guess, from different personalities. So that's where I'm coming from on that. I know some people love it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do a whole day on it. But yeah, that's my input on our budget.
Can I ask council a process question? Because when I look at this slide, and I keep going back to the fact that a balanced budget will be presented. So I'm wondering, is council seeking, like, say slide 1 is the Parks Department and slides 2 is the Police Department. Is there going to be discussion where we want to say, okay, well, we're going to say no to that FTE and yes to this one? Are we going to change what is being presented? Because here's my wondering. I feel like if a balanced budget is presented and I have everything in this slide, in addition to Mayor Pro Tem's recommendation of the strategic goal slide, I can do all that and it's not going to take forever and I'm going to have all of the information. my fear about splitting it into two is if we split it into two and say, okay, we only got departments 1 through 5 on this Monday, and then departments 6 through 10 on this Monday, now what? How do we just approve by department? Or are we then having to have a third study session to say, yes, this all makes sense? Or, so now I'm actually back to, maybe we just have a Saturday and we have a nice lunch in the middle and we knock it out. Like, because if we really do think it's gonna take 8 hours, I would rather not have 2 weeks in between. I believe that if I have these slides and this information and I get it ahead of time and I look at it and departments present, I think if we start at 5, we're done. So I guess what I'm just wondering is, what does this look like in council's heads? Like, are they gonna wanna, are you gonna wanna nitpick and dig and look at the fine print and debate and question and change? Are you hoping to say yes to this but no to that? And here's a new idea on top of it. Like, that's not how we've done it. So I'm just trying to figure out what the picture is in your head. Because I don't think it takes 8 hours, but if it does, I would rather do it in one day so that I'm not jumbled with 14 days in between. So I don't know. Did you want to add or respond to that?
We can accommodate, I mean, it would be very helpful for Jason and I to hear that feedback that you're asking for, Mayor. We will design it as best we can, either over 2 study sessions or one day.
We've knocked it out in 6 hours usually on a Saturday before the process was changed. You know that's my preference, I've told you before.
So can I ask a clarifying question? Because this is my memory. So we had a Saturday strategic planning session, which we've already done.
Right.
And then the budget book conversation was right there in a study session.
Right, but I'm talking about before you actually came on council.
That was my first experience. That's what
Okay,
I'm saying.
okay.
Is that the full day with the facilitator and the ideas and all of that with departments and the wings, and we did all that thinking. And then the budget was created and we sat in a study session and went through, because I remember a heated debate over OAF money. Like, are we gonna give them 15,000 more or not? And that was this heated debate in a study session with the budget. So I haven't experienced a full Saturday to do this.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've already done that piece. I think maybe it was the day that you missed.
Well, I'll give you an example that we had. What would have been, we had to decide between projects in Ward 4. Okay? Because Antonio came on like at the same time as me. Would we, and Jenny might remember this because then we did it again a couple years later. We were debating the cost of a fence.
I was here for that.
You were, okay. It's been a long time.
I came out.
You know, and I really, and then there was another one where Parks and Recs wanted a shed over at the M&O, right? And some of us didn't, some of us agreed with it. Some of us wanted to know more information on why that was, why it was that dollar amount. So that's where the last couple of years, I haven't been really comfortable with the budget process because I don't feel it's been as in-depth. Yes, I want to talk about FTE requests. I want to debate that, you know what I mean? And as we've gone through this year, I don't know how many budget or FTE requests are going to come in for us, but I want to be able to have those conversations. And that's one of the things that Jason and I and you were looking at on the software for the finance committee, because honestly, to me, we have to make sure we can't just go, yeah, you need an FTE, here's this, so I want to be able to have those debates and talk about it and get all of council's feel, because the FTE count is something that stands out to me because we continue to add FTEs at a rapid amount. So I want to be able to have conversations like that because, yes, we have money in the general fund. Yes, we are over what's required for us to have. But I want to make sure that we understand as a council, why, projected, we bring them in at one salary and then we rebuild the salaries again 2 years later, projected effects on our revenue and things like that. That's really just one of the outstanding things in my mind is the FTEs. I don't feel like, I wasn't as comfortable with adding FTEs this last year or the year before. I understand that the roles are deemed necessary, but are they really at this point? Can they move to the next one? Can we do it with 2 part-time people? I just want to be very, very conscious of the money that we're spending,
So I hear what you're saying, which is why it made me think we need to go back to full pay. Because I think that's a hard conversation to have if we're gonna talk about them in split departments. Because at first, when you said we should divide it in 2 nights so that every department head doesn't have to sit through both, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. But then I started thinking, but depending on the type of conversation you wanna have, we probably should have everyone in the room the whole time. So, I mean, I don't love Saturdays in the summer, but I'm willing to do that if it's gonna ensure that we have a full conversation that meets the needs of every council. Does that make sense?
Right, because then we can be transparent in what we know. And, we've heard it, more than once, whether it's fair or not, that city council hasn't been transparent. And I really, I spoke to you after the last budget session. I didn't feel like I really knew what the who's, whys, and wheres, I'm open to anything. I have found that the 1 day, 6 hours can kick it out, and then we don't have to look at it again or think about it until the next time it's presented to us. But it gives us a time to discuss things rather than going, okay, so you want $140,000 for this FTE? Yeah, that sounds great. I want to know more.
Okay. Councilmember Kondo?
Thank you, Mayor. So I agree with Councilwoman Brown. First of all, perhaps I'm agnostic. I'm either way. But I do also sympathize with Councilman Yaramillo when you're looking at numbers and all of a sudden you get cross-eyed. And so as long as the structure is sensible, if you do go to 2 sessions, maybe you do get all X number of departments, if it's 8 or however many. And they provide the high-level thumbnail. That way, and then you tie it also to what Councilwoman Wilford said, making sure it's tied to, specific vision and pillars and whatnot. If we were to do it in 2 different sessions, it does allow that interim time for the staff, if we provide some guidance to say, oh, you have 1 or too many FTEs, they can go back and rework and then come back that second session. So I see the advantage for doing that, breaking it up into 2 sessions. Or for that matter, maybe if we do it on 1 day, we put a break in there so that if that thumbnail session results in something where we need to ask the staff to kind of go back and massage, or various departments are going to have to kind of do some horse trading, they can do that. That way, it's not just us setting the priorities. It's all the departments working together to kind of, do the horse trading and figure that out.
So that sounds a lot like what I think Mayor Pro Tem said first, which is get the overview, do the thinking, come back for round 2, which is not what I originally thought, which was take the total number of departments and split.
Oh, yeah. No,
Can you speak to that again?
Yeah, I'm, thank you, yeah, because I had my hand up and I was like, I want to clarify this. I think one of the things that we're almost missing from this conversation, it's almost a pre-conversation to the budget, right? Like, I know Jason, I know, but I think the pre-conversation, it's fine.
I didn't see it. What
Jason doesn't have a poker face, and
No.
it's fun to watch. Anyway, I feel like we need this pre-conversation to just get really clear from each council members, like, what are you looking for within the budget? Like, what lens are you looking through at the budget? Because to me, Councilmember Brown and I definitely share the interest in FDE, right? And I think that that's a much bigger conversation, right? And that question around, are we comfortable with increasing the FTE, knowing that we're also going to be increasing salaries to remain competitive, is a bigger conversation. I also, when I'm looking at the budget, like, I want to see our priorities around like parks and making sure that our parks are, clean and well taken care of. Like, that's something I'm going to be looking for in the budget. And so I feel like there's a pre-conversation that needs to happen around, like, what is everybody hoping to get out of this? And then we can go into a day-long retreat and have all of these different presentations and then have the conversations around FTE and around what we're comfortable with. And the place that I was kind of looking to split it wasn't so much like departments. It was after we've seen all the numbers and had the conversations, taking a step back and taking time to sit with what we had discussed to see if we had any revelations or see if there had been any, big changes in our thinking. Because I will say there are so many times where I think my mind is made up, and then I hear what all of you have to say, and then I change my mind. And so I just want to create space for us to be able to do that. And I don't know that I'm articulating well what I'm looking for, but I'm okay with a day-long retreat, so long as we have that pre-conversation and that conversation to just double-check our work and make sure that we're okay.
So here's a wondering I have. I'm trying to zoom out and say, okay, because to me, this is not a fixed budget process for this year.
Yeah.
It's fixed budget process going forward.
Right.
Totally.
And so I feel like maybe some time has passed between some of these conversations that we have had, right? We had 2 strategic planning conversations already as a part of this calendar. And I feel like this right here is the conversation you're talking about. This is the moment for that pre-conversation.
Okay.
Because otherwise we're going to have 3 Saturdays.
Yeah, I don't want that.
And so I'm like, we're going to talk about this till we're purple. So, so I feel like there's a little bit of, we need to remember the work that we've already done and given to staff. That was significant work. They brought it back to us.
Yes.
We gave them feedback again. So we've done this, and I don't want to continue to spin, if that makes sense. So I'm hearing a couple of things. I'm hearing support for a Saturday, but I'm still hearing this like space in between. Because while I appreciate Councilmember Condo's comment about horse trading, I would love it if they did all the horse trading and we didn't have to, based on our feedback. It's just a hard thing to do over a lunch break, right? Like, hey, we're gonna have some pizza, you guys figure it out and come back to us. That just seems like a big ask. Not that you meant it would only be a lunch break, but, so I don't know. I mean, here's what I also heard, is that if we go back to the study session concept, well, first of all, if we finish this and we make sure that staff hears everything that every council member wants to get out of the process, if we put the majority of the budget conversation on August 1st, and does that work, or is that's a state holiday? Is it not?
Oh, we work that day.
Okay, sorry, it's Colorado
Next one's in
Day,
September.
so I wasn't sure. What?
Isn't the next holiday in September for Labor Day?
No, oh, there's many before that. No, it's Colorado Day, so I just didn't know if that was a problem. If it's not, we're good. Okay, so August 1st, if all the departments are here, we have, and this does fall on us, right? If we have all the slides and all the information ahead of time, and council does our homework, and we come on the 1st, and departments go through their slides, and we take notes, and we're asking questions, and then we can hold the 15th as a budget part 2 based on how the first goes. Because I really do believe if we, and it's one of our norms, and I'm going to say I don't always do it, so I'm not throwing anybody owning it for all of us. If we all do our homework on this particular issue, and we're like, okay, I'm going to look at the slides, I'm going to read the budget, I'm going to jump in, I'm going to bring my questions, then the first, we can be as productive as possible. We can still have dinner, we can work it on a study session, we can hear from departments. I think it's going to save us a ton of time if we do our homework. And then we can just ask the questions that we need to ask. Those would be clarity questions. And if we need to move to the 15th, after we've given some feedback, and then staff goes, all right, we heard your feedback, we're going to bring something back on the 15th. So if we put a placeholder for both, but to that end, I would like to hear, so you mentioned FTE, that was your example. FTE, and what was the second one? Parks. So I'm more interested in over process, so I just said my 2 cents. But if everyone wants to make sure that you've shared with Councilmember Guyer what you're hoping to get out of this process, I think we can move forward effectively that way. And if we hold both, I mean, if the first doesn't work, then we still have the 15th.
Yeah.
Councilmember Goff, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I was, you put it into words what I was thinking about, the fact that we've done some strategic planning. So this budget that comes to us shouldn't be, it shouldn't be full of a lot of surprises. I'm a little, having a little trouble figuring out why we would be even negotiating FTE or something like that, because I'm expecting that what's going to be presented is, if there is a request for more FTE, it's in support of the strategic plans that we had previously made. So I don't expect to do a lot of, like pushing and shoving, or however you want to word it, around some different things, the details. So I think I do like the idea, as I said, we want to set it up for that first study session. And if we need to, we'll go expand into the next one. Maybe we don't, but it just seems like we often take more time on things than we think we're going to. Although if we all do our due diligence and really, prepare ahead of time, that could cut some of the conversation down, and maybe we'll get it all done in one day. That would be great.
Great, thank you. I'm just going to go to the end of the dais. Councilmember Witkovich, do you want to weigh in?
No, I don't think I have anything additional to add. I think the slide that's been proposed gives me everything that I need to make decisions, and I plan on doing my homework, and nothing more to add.
Are you good with the 2 study sessions?
Oh, yeah. I'm down for whatever.
Jay, how about you?
Yes, I'm in favor of the 2. 1st and 15th of August.
I'm in favor of 2, as shown here on the proposal.
I am also in favor of 2, and I echo what the mayor and Councilmember Goff said. I do agree that I'm more interested in finding out exactly why the departments need what they need, because it should fit our strategic plan in terms of high-functioning government or other areas. And I think we all have our priorities, but I am just curious to see what will be brought forth from there. 2 study sessions, but our homework.
I'm good. I'm wonderful.
Does that feel okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple clarifying pieces, if I may, Mayor and Council. So on the parks front, right now I'm working with Amanda Peterson, our Director of Parks, Recreation, and Culture, and then Rob Weber and Doug Hegris on the special, I'm calling it the Special Projects Park List. And so I received an initial draft of that late last week that I'm working through and have a meeting with Amanda tomorrow. My hope was to bring that to council early June in front of the budget process, so you can see some one-time asks that we have that can be funded out of 2022. And then certainly get feedback from council. I mean, if you were to say, why don't you just put this all in the 2023 budget, we could do that too. But there are some things that we can address this year. So with that said, parks is front of mind. The one piece I do want to put out there is we will be undertaking the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space long-range plan this year. That process is going to culminate towards the end of the year. So there's probably a point after that plan is drafted and recommendations are developed that council really dives into those leading into the 2024 city budget process. Also for 2024, to be thinking about this, that is the year where we'll be scheduled to update the existing strategic plan. So the 5-year plan that you've been working on and updating year after year, the next big, call it an overhaul or update, will come in 2024. So that's something that we also have on the horizon. Additionally, I hear the concerns about FTE count, and I can tell you that we have added over the last 5 years an unprecedented number of FTE requests. One in regard to opening a brand new facility, our parks, our new recreation center, senior center and theater. Additionally, several areas of what I call level of service increases within public safety, technology that we've deployed. So I want to reassure you and the public that we're very cognizant of what those increases have looked like. And knowing that, that type of FTE addition over the time period that we have, is not something that's in, my 5-year forecast for moving forward. So any FTE requests that we do bring forward will be aligned with the strategic plan and any requests that council has made, such as for, say, new events and things of that nature. So please know I have that front of mind as well. And then the last thing, the pros and cons page, on the second page of the memo, do you like this approach? Any feedback for me? This was as a result of feedback that you had provided to me to help synthesize and give you a quick reference, break the pieces apart. Do you like this approach? If you do, we'll start using it more with future staff memos. I use this as a test to see if you like it.
It's a lot for me. It's complicated, to be honest. It took me a lot to navigate it, and I was like, this is not. And it could be that it just doesn't fit this topic.
So how about I just keep trying?
Yeah, can
Okay.
we test it again? 'Cause
That's fair enough.
I did look at this and I was like, wow, it's just so much. And especially if we don't go with, I think this was as if we had two choices, when I think we just kind of finessed our own. Does that make sense?
Right. No,
So,
you're exactly
I don't
right.
know, other people can weigh in. It was just a bit.
I understand.
You guys.
Keep trying.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's just the wrong topic for it this time.
We're going to try policy topics. And so, again, this was a test. So it was more of a process, policy related thing. So we'll keep trying. Okay. Thank you for your feedback tonight.
You're welcome.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
All right, moving into public invited to be heard. Anyone? This is an opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to council? No? Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak to council? You may press *6 to unmute. I don't think. Okay. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session pursuant to Section 4.5D of the City of Northglenn Home Rule Charter for legal consultation and advice regarding the Community Co-Production Policing Advisory Board.
Move for approval. Second.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Councilmember Goff, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hold on. Once again, lots of windows.
I will close that vote, and the motion to adjourn to executive session passes unanimously.
All right, we will adjourn to executive session. And we get a break while everyone